record on this computer. Good. So this is the course outline: introduction, writing, proofreading and editing, designs and publishing, and then marketing and distribution. Why do we need to learn all of this? Because it is not enough to write a book. You must also know how to proofread that book and edit the book so that it will be void of errors and so that it will meet the market standard. And then we'll also teach how to do designs in interior decor for the book. Every book has an interior design, and then how to publish the book on Amazon and on some other websites. Most people come to me to help them publish on Amazon, and I charge them for it, $200 to put it on Amazon, to publish it on Amazon for you. But if you learn how to do it, you don't need to pay anybody. You'll do it yourself. So that is why I included that in this course also. And then marketing, of course, nobody wants to write a book that will not sell. So if you write a book, you want to publicize that book, you want to market the book, and you want to distribute it for people to be able to buy it. Then after this, we finish this course, every student will have to do a project. And at the end of that project, each student will publish their books, like I've said before, and then I will give certificates to all participants as a proof that they took this course. Okay, now I'm going to move to the next slide for today. So today, I said it's introductory lecture, and I'm starting the introductory lecture with why I think that everybody, should write their own book. Why I think everybody should write their own book. Why do I think everybody should write their own book? It is because inside of everybody, in your brain, in your mind, there are numerous book ideas. Unfortunately, most people are not aware that they have books written inside of them. They only need to convert those ideas into physical books that people could, go to Amazon and buy and read. Most people think when they see authors, they say, oh man, that guy is a unique person, is a special person. I used to be like that, when I was in secondary school, when I buy books by John Maxwell or Sunday Adelaja and some other people, I look at them as if they are gods, like they are some special kind of people. How could they, write books by themselves? But now, I can tell you that everybody can write a book. There is nothing special, really, about being an author. If you know how to do it, you will realize that there is nothing special. Anybody and everybody can write a book. They only need to learn how to do it, and they will do it. When I used to admire people that write books, I almost look at them as if they are some special, maybe they are specially gifted by God to be able to write. Because at the time, I didn't like writing. Number one, I didn't know how to write. And secondly, I didn't like writing. But at some point in my life, all of that changed. And today, I'm writing and I'm teaching people how to write. And I've written over 30 books, in 5 years, thereabouts. And anybody can do it. So that is why I created this course. So we are here. This course is basically to help you bring out those book ideas that you have in your head and turn them to physical books. Orson Scott said that everybody walks past 1,000 story ideas every day. The good writers are the ones who see 5 or 6 of them. Most people don't see any. What does that mean? It means that every day of your life, you walk past 1,000 story ideas, 1,000 book ideas. Thoughts come to your mind every day that you could convert into books, but you don't think about them because you feel you don't pay attention. You are not consciously converting those thoughts into something that could be tangible. But the truth is, all of us, if you look around you, you will find many things to write about. There are a lot of things to write about. You could write about your life, your own, your autobiography. You could write about events that are happening around you. You could write about politics. You could write about marriage. You could write about domestic violence. You could write about anything at all. But you have to be awake to that consciousness that any idea that comes to your head, you don't just let it pass by like that. You try to convert that idea. One of the things I do when ideas come like that, I write them down. And because of that, now I have over 100 book titles that I'm yet to write. I haven't written them yet. I'm yet to write them. But how did I get them? Because ideas are coming. And when they come, I don't trivialize them. I don't say this is just an ordinary thought that is passing. No, I try to create a book title from it. So everybody, have those ideas coming into their minds, but they don't pay attention to it. So in this introductory lecture, I'm going to show you why you should write your own book. Why should you should write your own book, and what are you to expect from this course? I'll show you the course outline in details, and then types of book journeys, and then we'll have a summary. So let's get started with why you should write your own book. Why should I write my book? I thought that, it is not compulsory for all of us to write. Maybe some people are born to be writers, and others are born to be reading their own book, to be reading what people have written. Well, I used to think like that maybe I'm born to just read other people's book. But the question is, why should I be the one reading other people's book? Why can't other people read my own book too? Is it that I don't have any idea to write about? Is it that, I'm the only person who doesn't see events that are happening around me to write about? So the truth is, I'm going to give you reasons why you should write your own book. I realize that if you look at countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, you see little children, teenagers, they've already written their books. But in Africa, for example, if somebody writes a book at the age of 40 or 50, he's seen as, one special person. No, it is because we don't know we don't have a writing culture, in our continent. And most people don't know why, they don't know the reason why they should even write anything about either their life or write about some other events. So why should you write your own book? The first thing I'm going to tell you why you should write your own book is this. When you write your own book, you become an authority or an expert in that field that you have written about. For example, you are free to do just audio, okay? It's not compulsory to have the video on, okay? You're free to do audio. Now, when you write a book, you become an authority in that area that you have written about, that field that you have written about. And that means that when you become an authority, like I said before, people will begin to look up to you and say, man, this guy's an expert in this field. This lady is an expert in this field. When they have any question or anything bothering them about that topic that you have written about, they will most likely come to you to seek your counsel, because they believe that if you could write a book on this topic, then you must know so much about this topic. So writing a book, makes you become an authority or an expert in that field. If I write a book about how to make $1 million in 1 month, and people, see that I have a lot of money, when they see my book in the market, they want to buy it because they believe that this guy is an authority. We could see that, he's made $1 million in 1 month. But even people who don't know me at all, when they go to Amazon and they see a book in my name, how to make $1 million in 1 month, they want to come in contact with me because they believe that for me to write a book on this topic, then I must be an expert on wealth creation. So that is what happened. The first reason you should write a book. If you want to become an authority in any field, write about that field. You want to become, an authority in parenting, write a book about parenting. You want to become an expert in marriage counseling, write a book about marriage counseling, not about marriage. If you want to be an expert in good governance, write a book about good governance. Anything that you want to become an expert in, or you want to become an authority, you want people to look up to you and say, I need you to counsel me, to teach me this thing. Then you have to write a book about it. The second reason why you should write your own book is that writing a book gives you an avenue to impact the world. Writing a book gives you an avenue to impact the world with your message. Everybody, every single person ought to have a message. There ought to be something in the society that you want to address. There ought to be some, problems in the society that you have solution to. That is why I said that we must be awakened to ideas. When you are awakened to ideas, you will realize that things that are happening around you, some of them bother you, and you have a message to say. For example, recently in Nigeria, we started hearing about domestic violence and maybe husbands killing their wives or wives killing their husbands, or we're now hearing about DNA test and all of the deception going on there. You have something you want to say about that domestic violence. You have something you want to say about the deception, the infidelity happening in marriage. That is the message that you have. But one of the best ways to pass across that message is to put it in writing. Write a book about it so that even when you long left the stage, people will still be impacted, with that message. Or even while you are alive, people will be impacted, the world will be impacted by your message. So you should write a book because it is an avenue to impact the world with your message. If you care about the world, if you care about the things happening around you, and you feel bothered by them, don't just, keep all of that anger and all of that pain or, that frustration that you feel about societal events, things that are happening in your nation or, wherever you are. Don't just keep them to yourself. Convert them to books and let them impact people. So let them be solution to people's problem. The third reason why you should write a book is that when you write a book, your book becomes your legacy. What do I mean? Your book is what you will leave behind when you've left this earth. When you sleep on tomorrow, people could still get your book. They could see your work. They could still be blessed, by your book. They could still learn from your book. Dr. Miles Monroe is dead, but we still read his book and we get blessed. We learn from his wealth of understanding and wisdom, even though he's dead. So his books are his legacies. Everything he did, he taught, those videos and the books, they are all, his legacies. So I think that one of the best ways you could, create a legacy for yourself is to write something. Write something that will change the world. Maybe not change the entire world, but change your community. Maybe not change your whole community, but change one or two persons. Just write something that could be a legacy and something that your children will see and say, oh, this is daddy's work. Or something that your grandchildren will see and say, oh, this is mommy's work. Yeah, so your book could become your legacy. With a book, a dead man will impact the world more than a living man who does not understand or doesn't know anything or just living life, like that. Why? Dr. Miles Monroe now is having more impact in the world than a lot of people, even though he's dead. How? Through his books. I have some of his books here. If tomorrow Dr. Sunday Adelaja exits this earth, all the books that he had, close to 300 books or more, will be his legacy. I could still read it and learn something. I could still read it and solve some problem that I have, like that. So you should write a book so that your book could become your legacy. If you really want to live on forever, write a book. Because when you're gone, your book will still be here. And people will remember you when they hold your book. Now, another reason you should write a book is that it will help you learn or develop a new skill. Maybe you've not written a book before. You don't know how to write. You don't even believe that you can write. How do you learn that new skill? You learn by writing. So you start writing, and you will know how to write. When I wrote my first book, the first time I wrote a book, well, not my book, I do freelance writing. The first time I wrote for, someone, I was not a professional writer, but I wrote a book. And the next time I wrote another book, it was better than the first one. And the third time I wrote was better than the first two. So you learn the skill of writing by writing. You don't learn the skill of writing by wishing that you were a writer. No, you learn by writing. So when you write small, you write again, you write again. Before you know it, you learn a new skill. And the best way to keep on writing is to become an author, to write your own book or to write for other people. One more reason why you should write your own book is that writing a book could become a source of income, a second source of income for you. Maybe you have a job, okay, that is good. But it is always good to have more than one sources of income. So writing a book, if you know how to write, you could make a lot of money from book writing. Just yesterday, I was checking the internet how much freelance writers charge, and I saw that freelance writers could get $15,000 by writing just one book. $15,000 by writing just one book of maybe 200 pages. Why not? Or maybe you could write your book and your book becomes a bestseller. You sell 1,000,000 copies of your book. That is another source of income. Or you're helping people publish their book. That's another source of income also. So you should write because it could be another source of income for you. One more reason why you should write a book. When you write a book, there is this feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment that comes to you. Now, when I wrote my first book, my very first book, I felt so fulfilled and so accomplished when I held my book in my hand. Like, wow, this is my work. This is what I did. This is my brainchild. This is my intellectual property. I felt so fulfilled. And the more I write, the more fulfilled I get. I said I have over 100 book titles to write. I can't wait to write all of them because it brings fulfillment, it brings accomplishment. You feel that your life is productive when you are able to write a book. Good. So I'm going to take you to the next page of what we're going to be doing today. So remember the reasons why you should write a book. One, you will become an expert. When you write a book, you become an expert in that field that you have written about. And then it's an avenue for you to impact the world. And your book can become your legacy. If you want to live on, you want to live long, write a book that people can read even after you're gone. And then your book could help you develop new skills. And your book could be a second source of income. And that book could bring satisfaction and fulfillment to you. Good. So now, let me know if you can see my screen. I'm going to share my screen again. So good. Now, what are you to expect from this course? This is the main reason why I created this course. I'm going to teach you all of these. So what am I going to teach you in this course? In this course, you will learn how to generate book ideas. One of the bottlenecks to book writing, or one of the hindrances to book writing, is that people are not able to generate book ideas. They don't know how to do it. But in this course, I'm going to teach you how to generate book ideas. I'm going to teach you how to write book titles. It is one thing to have a book idea. It is another thing to create a title that will attract people and a title that people can easily remember, for your books. I'll teach you how to write the book titles. And then again, I'll teach you how to write a synopsis. Whether you're going to be a freelance writer or you want to write for yourself and author your own book, you need to learn what a synopsis is and how to write it. And then I'll teach you how to write an introduction for a book. When I started with batch A students, at the beginning, it was as if writing an introduction to a book is the most difficult thing anybody could do. But after the class, the following week, all my students were able to write, an introduction for their book. and it is not as difficult as they thought it was. So I understand that it is difficult for a lot of people to write introduction. Even as a freelance writer, when I write for people sometimes and I don't write the introduction, they write the introduction by themselves. When I look at it, I see that, okay, this is a problem. Most people don't really know how to introduce, how to write an introduction for a book. So I will teach that here in this course. I'll teach how to write a dedication, acknowledgement, how to write a copyright page, how to get a forward for your book, and how to convert your ideas into chapters and sub chapters. You have a book idea, good, but how do you break that ideas into chapters and sub chapters? I'm going to teach that in this course also. Now, when you finish your book, you are supposed to have what we call a reference page at the back of the book. I'm going to teach how to do that and how to have a reference in every page of your book. And then I'll teach how to write an author biography and a blog. Most people don't know how to write autobiographies. Most of my clients have asked them to send me their autobiography and they write everything about their life. No, I'm going to teach how to write a brief autobiography that is straight to the point and that will attract readers when they pick your book. Then I'll teach how to edit your book, how to self-publish and print your book, and then how to publicize and market the book. Now, this is the course schedule. Now we are having the introductory course, then lesson 1, which will be next Saturday, next week. Lesson 1, we will do writing class 1. And in that class, I will teach how to write book titles and synopsis. Very important. Book titles and synopsis will be the first class. And then the second class will do how to write an introduction, how to write a table of contents, and then I'll give you assignments. In the third class, I'll teach how to write the chapter 1 of your book, which is the most important chapter of your book. How to write chapter 1. And then the same thing I teach you for chapter 1, you will apply to all chapters. And then I'll teach what is called intro and outro, and I'll give assignments. In the fourth week, or maybe the fifth week, I'll teach you how to get stories for your book, how to avoid plagiarism, how to put links and quotes in your book. And then the fifth week, I'll teach you how to write conclusions and reference page. Lesson 6, I'll teach you how to write a blog, author biography, and I'll give you assignments. Lesson 7, I'll teach you dedication, acknowledgement, forward, and then I'll give you project topics. But what we're going to do, you will take your project topic beginning at the end of this class. So from the end of this class, you pick a project topic. So what is the project topic? A book idea that you want to write about. Maybe you've not thought about it before, but the aim of this course is to help you do the writing yourself. So every student must pick an idea that they want to write about. I'll teach you how to coin a title from that idea, which is what we'll be doing in our next class, and how to write a synopsis for that project. So everybody start thinking about the book that you would like to write, and you have 3 months to write that book because this course will last for 3 months. Within that 3 months, you will write that book, and at the end of the course, you will publish the book. We are not waiting for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. I know people who have been trying to write books for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In fact, a lady sent me a manuscript of a book. She lives in the UK. She said that book took her 17 years to put the manuscript together, because she didn't know how to go, how to arrange her. She had a lot of things that she wanted to write about. It took her 17 years. But we're not doing that. In 3 months, you will learn how to do it and you will do it. So that is what we want to do. If I take 17 years to write one book, it means I might only write one book for the rest of my life, or maybe only 3 books. But the goal is to write more than 100, at least 200 books, in my lifetime. You might not want to write 200 books. You might want to write maybe just 10 or 5 books. But it's best to know how to do it within a short time so that you don't take a very long time writing a book. Lesson 8, how to proofread, edit, and I'll show you some editing apps that will help you edit your book. Lesson 9, how to get an ISBN. What is an ISBN? How to get it, why you need to get it, and then how to write a copyright page for your book, how to do designs and self-publishing. And then lesson 10 will be the marketing, publicity, printing, and distribution of your book. And then the last day will be your exam. I'm going to prepare an exam, multiple choice questions from everything I teach. So that is why I'm recording the course so you could watch it again. At the end, you're going to take some very simple exams and we'll publish your book and give you your certificate. Okay, good. So that is the first part of the lecture. Now, this second part of the lecture is going to be very brief. I'll try and do it maybe in 15 minutes, thereabouts. Now, if you want to be a writer, you need to know what we call book genres. So there are different types of book genres, 4 main literary genres. So even if you didn't do literature like me, I didn't do literature in secondary school, but because I'm a writer, I need to know about what genre of book I'm writing. I can't just say I want to write a book. I need to know, is this book drama? Is it fiction? Is it non-fiction? Or is it poetry? Okay. So there are 4 main literary genres of books. The first one is drama. So what is drama? Drama is a play for theater that is told by a character. It involves dialogue and talking. So we know what a drama is, I believe. Then we have what we call fiction. So fiction is a story that did not actually happen in life. So if you're writing a book about a story that didn't happen in real life, that is fiction. Then we have what is called non-fiction. This course is based on non-fiction writing, although I have a few students who want to write fiction. So I try to, teach non-fiction and fiction at the same time. But the course is supposed to be for people who want to write non-fiction. So all the books that you see Dr. Sunday Adelaja write or Dr. Miles Monroe, they are non-fiction. Now, what is non-fiction? So non-fiction is writing that is real and factual. You are writing about something that actually happened. That is called non-fiction. You are not just imagining something that does not exist. No. So fiction, not real. Non-fiction, real events. And then lastly, we have what we call poetry. So poetry writing is using language and sounds in special ways to express ideas. So in poetry writing, you are writing a poem. So you are a poet when you write poetry. Now, so let's look at drama. Every book has a genre and sub-genres. Genre and sub-genre, 4 main genre: drama, fiction, non-fiction, and poetry. And then drama is divided into 2 sub-genres. They are comedy and tragedy. So comedy, a drama that ends on a good note and it is fun. And then tragedy, a drama that ends, on a sad note. And people maybe cry or weep or feel sad at the end of the drama. It is called tragedy. Then for fiction, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 subgenres under fiction. We have fantasy, we have folklore, we have historical fiction, we have mystery, realistic fiction, romance, science fiction, and thriller. Okay, then let's look at fiction first. Under fiction, we said we have 8. So what is fantasy? Fantasy is a story in a fantasy world. So you are describing something that has not happened and will most likely never happen. For example, if I say that I heard a tree talking, maybe I wrote a book about a tree that talks. We know that that is just fantasy. That's not going to happen. It's not real, So that is fantasy. Then we have a folklore. So folklore are old cultural stories. Most of us, when we were growing up in Africa, our parents used to tell us folklore, tell us such stories. And they include fairy tales, fables, myths, legends, and tall tales. Then for the third one, we'll have historical fiction. So historical fiction is a fiction story based on real history. You are writing a fiction story based on real history. For example, you could write a book about the Second World War, but that history happened, but you are writing it as though it didn't happen. You are using characters that are not real when you are writing. You are not mentioning the real people who fought that war. You just put in other people. So that is called historical fiction. It is fiction, but it is based on real history. And then we have a mystery. Mystery is a story about a crime. And then number 5, we have what we call realistic fiction. A story that seems real, but isn't real. The story seems real, but it isn't real. It's called realistic fiction. And then number 6, we have what we call romance, which is a love story. And then we have science fiction. So science fiction is writing about the future, using advanced technology, a story in the future with advanced technology. So if I write a book about how everybody will start using microchips in the future, if I write a book about that, it will be a science fiction. Or if I write a book about how medical doctors will no longer be working in the hospital, but the robots will be working in the hospital, that will be a science fiction. It's about something that will happen in the future. And then 8 will have thriller or suspense, a story that makes readers nervous or excited. That is called suspense or thriller. Then let's go to non-fiction, which is what I want to focus on. Most of you will be non-fiction writers because you are writing about maybe domestic violence, gender inequality, political unrest. These are real events that happen. So you'll be a non-fiction writer. So nonfiction has 5 subgenres. They are biography, the first one. So biography is the story of a person's life. Now, a story of a person's life, but written by another person. So for example, if I write a book about Dr. Sunday Adelaja's life, that would be his biography. But if I write a book about myself, my life, that is not a biography, it is an autobiography. So an autobiography is a story the author writes about himself or herself. If Mrs. Abiola writes a book about her husband, that book will be a biography of her husband. But if she writes about herself, it will be an autobiography, her autobiography. And then third one is what we call narrative nonfiction. So in narrative nonfiction, you are telling a story that happened in real life. So you're talking about a story that happened when you were in secondary school or when you got your job or something like that, but you're telling a story. It is narrative nonfiction. Then we have what we call periodicals. So periodicals are magazines, newspapers, journals that are written regularly. Number 5, we have what we call reference materials. So reference materials are dictionary, thesaurus, and encyclopedia. They are books with facts written in alphabetical order. They are called reference materials. And then the next genre is poetry. So poetry, we have 3 subgenres: lyric, narrative poetry, and dramatic poetry. So lyric is a poem about the speaker's thoughts. So when you are writing a poem, you are a poet, you are writing about your thoughts, it is called lyric. Then we have narrative poetry where you use a poem to tell a story. An example is epic. Then we have what we call the dramatic poetry, where words are spoken by a character. You have a monologue and a dialogue. That is poetry. Good. So now we have some questions here, which we'll see if we can answer them using what I just taught you now, the different type of book genres. Maybe you need to go back and look at them again. If you can remember them: biography, autobiography, narrative, nonfiction, periodicals, reference materials, fantasy, folklore, historical fiction, realistic fiction. So here I have a few questions. Let's see if we can answer these questions. Number 1, a story about plants that come to life. What genre of book will that be? and what subgenre will it be? First of all, is it fiction or is it non-fiction? You may want to write if you know the answer. Okay, this is the last slide. So, a story about plants that come to life.
It's a fiction.
It's fiction, okay? It is fiction. Now, what type of fiction is it? What subgenre of fiction is it? I used it as an example when I was talking. I said, if a plant talks to me, then that would be a fantasy because it cannot happen, okay? Then, number two, a book about the life of a famous soccer star. So, I write a book about a famous soccer star. What would that be? Would that be fiction or non-fiction? I think that because this is somebody that is real, that is alive, and somebody that we know, this will be non-fiction. And the subgenre should be, what would the subgenre be? Is this a biography or an autobiography or something else? It is a biography, a book about a soccer star, not written by the soccer star himself. So that should be a biography. Okay. So to be fast, so that we don't waste time on this, these are the answers. So let's look at it. A story about plants that come to life. It is the genre is fiction, subgenre is fantasy. A book about the life of a famous soccer star is non-fiction, and it's a biography. An encyclopedia entry that describes vitamin E is non-fiction, and it will be a reference material. The humorous play, the taming of the shrew. So humorous, comedy. So it is drama and it is comedy. A long poem about a hero named Achilles. So it will be poetry, and it will be epic. Okay, if you go back, you will see the definition there. And then we have a weekly newspaper called Main Street Times. It is non-fiction and it is periodicals. A sad play about the character Oedipus Rex. So this is sad play. It is drama and it is tragedy. And then a poem about a girl's idea about friendship. So it is a girl's idea, but she's writing it as a poem. So it is poetry and it is lyric. And then a story about life in the year 3023. So about the future. It will be fiction, but science fiction. And then a story about characters who lived during World War One. The characters are not real, but they seem real. So one, it is fiction, but what kind of fiction is this? Maybe this will be your homework, or you want to tell me now a story about characters who lived during World War One. The characters are not real. So let's go back. Here you will see, okay, so this is, no, let's go here. This is fiction, okay? We said historical fiction is a fiction based on real history. But we said realistic fiction is a story that seems real, but isn't real. So the answer to our question will be what? Realistic fiction. Okay? But I'm sure when you go through the course again, you will be able to, you know, understand, read everything again, watch the videos again, and you'll be able to understand why that is the answer. So, summary. Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Most people have stories that they want to tell. They have some experiences, some life experiences that they want to share, but they don't know how to tell the story because they don't know how to write. But I believe that with this course, you will be able to tell your story by yourself. and you wouldn't need anybody to do that for you. That will be the end of the course for today, the introductory lecture for today. If you have any question, I will take them now. So you can ask your question. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Good. So is there any question? Was it productive? Did you learn anything from this course? Yes, let's hear Mr. Abiola. You have any question? Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you want to say something. And let me see. Okay. So if there is no question,